have to say, if you're listening out there, shoot your shot with Hannah Johns. You will have to get through the other 6 siblings.
Ben and Colin are the front line of defense.
I don't know who would be more hard to get through there. But anyway, Colin.
Probably. Although Ben has actually told me to break up with people before, I'll be honest.
Wow.
He's called me and been like, this is an intervention. This one's got to go. No joke.
Oh my God. Hello, and welcome back to the Talk Pickle to Me podcast, or should I say, Talk Pickle to Me. We are currently in the series of the 10 most influential women in pickleball, and today we have an incredibly exciting guest. I'm so excited. We have the one and only Hannah Johns.
Hi, I didn't know that intro was going to be so sexy. You didn't prepare me.
Oh, just wait. You're going to have a sexy moment in here.
Oh, no.
Before we get into it real quick, I just want to say for everybody that's been watching, we have a new background. Don't mind this plant, but Mama Kerr got me the Talk Pickle to Me sign. Jim put it up. So it takes a village to be a podcaster these days. Hopefully when this actually comes out, it'll be flipped around correctly. We'll see. But anyway, this space needs an upgrade. So if you have any fun ideas, please let me know. And please, please, please make sure to subscribe, comment, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast. And if you're on Spotify, please make sure to leave 5 stars. We really appreciate it. All right. Back to the one and only Hannah Johns. Hannah is a fantastic woman in the sport of pickleball. She is currently the senior chief editor for pickleball.com and ppatour.com, as well as a TV reporter. I believe she was one of the original 4 or 5 people at the PPA that truly started from the beginning. So you guys are going to get a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just so excited to have you here, Hannah. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I don't often get to be the one being interviewed, so this is new.
Yes, I know. I love it. I've watched so many interviews that you've done over the years, and it's just been like, I feel like I kind of grew up with the sport watching you. I remember when I first found it in 2021, you were on the TV. You know, it was like you and Colin and Ben, like the same thing, and now it's like 5 years later and it's still happening. So it's just so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hannah Johns. If you don't know Hannah, Hannah is the sister of Ben Johns, or should I say Ben is the brother of Hannah Johns. But Ben is the #1 pickleball player in the world. They are actually one of, I believe it's 7 children?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, 7 children. It's crazy. They grew up in Laytonsville, Maryland. What was it like being one of 7 kids in Maryland?
Oh my gosh. Oh, starting at the beginning, my inception.
Yes.
Pretty wild. Our parents are pretty unorthodox. And so we were homeschooled K through 12. We grew up on 12 acres of like farmland in Laytonsville, Maryland. And a lot of my childhood was just playing in nature, making up games, trampolines, swimming in the creek, like playing in the barn. Like it was very rural and very much like organic learning. And we were huge readers, like total nerds, all of us, Colin, Ben, me, and then my 4 other sisters
Georgia,
as well.
Lily, what are the other?
Oh, you're good.
I met Georgia and Lily, and I love them, but I don't know the other 2.
The other 2 are Maggie, and she doesn't get out as much on travel-wise because she's doing her PhD in music and piano performance. And then the baby obviously can't really travel on her own yet because she's 8. That's Violet.
Crazy. So there's a massive. What's the gap between Violet and who's the second youngest?
Georgia. Okay. So Georgia's 21. Violet's 8, so that's 13 years if I'm doing my math right.
Wow. Okay.
It's pretty insane. I was 21 when my mom brought us all in the kitchen with my dad and was like, hey, so we've got some news. I'm pregnant. And we were like, Mom, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's still going on? Like, what? You're kidding, right? Like, I'm supposed to be the one at 21 years old who comes to the kitchen and is like, parents, I had some news. Heck no, it's my mother. But oh my God, she's the greatest blessing ever. Like, we couldn't be more delighted about the surprise of a little sister.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that is one thing that I've noticed from all of the Johns is that you guys are all intellectually curious from it's just natural. And that's what I love about every one of you. I mean, everyone knows Ben is extremely smart. Most people know that Colin is also very smart in a little bit different of a way, but still extremely intelligent. And then I don't know if everyone knows how smart you are. And then George, the same thing. And Lily, I thought Lily was the one doing her piano. Am I wrong?
Lily is a dental hygienist, and her husband's a dentist, and she lives in Florida, and she's having a baby hopefully this week. So,
oh my gosh. Okay.
She's the redhead.
I have them mixed up. I met Maggie.
Okay.
And Maggie she impressed me so much. I met her at Dreamland, and I was like, she's a genius. She's so nice. Mm-hmm. So anyway, you guys are all extremely intellectually curious. What were your parents' backgrounds that sort of drove that into you?
Oh gosh, I think they got blessed with good genes. For one thing, they're both incredibly intelligent people, and they also share like this like thirst for knowledge. Super curious people. Like they always are trying to learn new things and challenge themselves, and read up. Huge readers. At least my mom is, and my dad loves the news. My mom was definitely more of like the artsy creative side. She went to Ohio University. My parents are from Ohio. And then my dad went to Ohio State. And he was in, what is it called? Some kind of very mathy, very sciencey, very nerdy degree, which I don't even remember right now. But then he had a career change after he got out of college. Well, my parents started their family, they got married, and so he decided he wanted to make a career change, and so he taught himself JavaScript in the basement of my mom's parents' house, and became a computer programmer. And a lot of that's math driven anyways, and like coding and all that. Yes. So he did that, and then we all moved to Maryland as a family. And my mom, because we were, there were so many kids, very quickly, my mom stayed at home with us pretty much for the entirety of our lives. And my dad supported us with software design, software development, opened his own companies, and now runs a couple of different things and services that are in the tech and software industry.
Okay. Because I remember, I think he created some sort of app that Ben and Colin use. I forget what it is, but I know that like there's probably multiple, but I think where they like store their research on players or their videos is made by him, and then something in like the crypto space might also be made by him.
Yeah. Oh, you're good. Yeah, he did an app that's like a management app, which he's no longer working with them anymore. But it basically is like a massive cabinet for everything in your life, your to-dos, your notes, your thoughts, your pictures. You can put everything in there.
Wow. So like
the boys use that. Yeah, it's called iStratus, but it's not kept up very well anymore. So really just our family uses it. The product just didn't go to market the way that they expected, I think. And so I'm not telling people to go out there and use that app, but that's what they use still to like manage all of their notorious Bible of notes on every single player and team on tour. Yes, my brothers are a little bit just
it's the best.
Insane. But yeah, best. It's like just archival notes on.
It's like the sexiest thing in pickleball. Is that the sexiest thing in pickleball is when Colin goes into his notes and like literally goes mat right, backhand flick, two hand off the bounce from the right side, like lob volley, like has every single person in every single shot. I mean, that's just a different level.
Sexy is not usually how I describe it as their sister, but like, yeah, sure.
It's just amazing. I mean, I love just picking their brains with pickleball because I'm obviously obsessed with it. But okay, so let's get back to you. You went from being homeschooled to attending the largest public university in the United States, the University of Maryland. I think you had a stint at like Montgomery College before that, but we're just going to skip over to that to go to Maryland because the dichotomy of being homeschooled in a rural area to being like in Maryland in a public university. I know people like to party there, like, but what was that experience like for you?
So I think that my eventual degree was from University of Maryland, but I actually attended Towson University first.
Okay.
So, and I ended up not really being a huge fan, which was partially due to the fact, like that you just mentioned, that the culture shock from being in this insular, highly sort of sensitive environment, quiet, thoughtful, everyone's kind to each other in the familial, like, home. And then you go to Towson University, which is very much party school, massive as well. And I lived on campus. And I remember getting there and being like, oh my God, everyone's has depression and is doing drugs and having sex. And like, I'm a virgin. And I just don't know what to do here. And I was in the honors dorm and I had a full ride on academics. And so I was just there to be like a scholarly little babe. And I met a lot of really great people. But I was so overwhelmed, I think, by the environment, and the football and the frats and the, the partying. And, that I was like, you know what? I really miss home. I did one semester there. And I ended up moving back home and being like, I'm going to reassess my options. And so I eventually went to community college to do my associate's degree, which I finished. And then I transferred to University of Maryland and finished, but I did it all online. So I actually didn't have that like on campus, big school experience that a lot of people have, which I was fine with because I ended up moving to Europe. So doing school online to finish out my bachelor's was actually the most perfect thing. So I could work full time and travel overseas.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. I believe you moved to the Czech Republic.
You know so much. Where did you find all this?
Well, first of all, you did tell me this before.
That's true. We've had many girl dinners.
I was going to say, you act like we're not friends and I don't know anything about your life.
But you like remember. I have lots of friends that don't remember anything I say.
Well, I know. I do remember you going to Czech Republic, and I remember you teaching English, I believe, as a second language. And I remember you saying you loved traveling overseas and getting to see like most of Europe. But for the people that don't know you, talk a little bit about like your Czech experience, because that is also just like boom, bam, bam. Like you're just going from one thing to the next.
Yeah, I definitely had a atypical life arc up to this point. But yeah, so I was doing what was I? Probably like a junior or something. Yeah, I was like no, I guess I was a senior at that point in college. And I was like, I want to get out of here. I'm done here. I want to go overseas and teach English. And I ended up going to Prague, doing my teaching certification there. It's like they call them TESOLs or TEFLs or there's different names for them, but you basically get certified to teach English as a second language to foreigners. And I also did a second certification for kids. So I was like, I probably want to work with kids versus adults. And I did try adults, but kids are way more fun than adults.
100%.
So I finished that and I love Prague so much that I was like, I'm going back. I'm gonna do I was torn between Tokyo, Dubai, and Prague, and I chose Prague to teach. Wow. And then I ended up in the end teaching kindergarten, preschool, and I became the director of a private school system there in Prague, which is actually like a highly coveted position, and it was really cool. I had like one of the best jobs there that I knew from like English speakers over there, and so I really I could have stayed for as long as I wanted to, but I eventually, after like 2.5 years, came home. Mainly because my relationship with a Czech guy that I was with there ended, and I was kind of like, so now or never. Like either I stay here forever, or like this is the time when I got to go back home. But I can't say enough good things about Eastern Europeans and Czechs generally, and the culture there, it's like so nature based, and it's very much how I like grew up. It's like very genuine, very kind. People will give you the shirt off their backs.
Wow.
There's a huge emphasis on natural learning, nature, getting kids immersively exposed to input to make them better adults. Very much like a helpful, but also very like logical, like very strongly logical
Mm.
culture. It doesn't deal much in like emotions or sensitivity. And I remember
Interesting.
being shocked by that initially because I was, I was such an American. I'm so nice. Like, oh, maybe we could do this way. I don't know. And they're like, no, this is stupid. Why would we do it like that? No, 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 no. We explain to you how that's going to be, and this is why. And and it's so great because you're like, everyone just says the truth all the time. And I got
Yeah.
told like, oh, you're problematic for this reason and this reason, and you should do this different in the classroom. And I was like, wow, I'm so glad you told me.
Yes.
So now I can change that. It really is like, I love the honesty.
Mm-hmm. No, that sounds incredible. It's interesting because when you say Czech Republic, it's not somewhere that you hear a lot of Americans automatically wanting to move to. You hear London or
Yeah.
Italy, but you never hear of Czech. So the trajectory was interesting, but now that you explain it, it makes sense. You first had to go to Prague
Mm-hmm.
and then from there. Okay, so then you come back home. What year was that?
2020, middle of COVID. I think it was March was when I came back, and then I had to go back to Czech, still in the middle of COVID, during the summer to go get the rest of my stuff, which was wild. But luckily, I had my visa there, so I was able to fly when nobody else was allowed to fly. If you were a
Wow.
resident, you could go back. So I did that in July 2020.
O- Okay, so July of 2020, you go back, you come back again, and do you have any idea what you want to do with your life at that point?
Well, I guess it was more that I came back in March to start with because that was how the timeline with the tour sort of kicked off. And so I came back in March. I'm like utterly shattered from my relationship ending. I thought he was like my partner for life. Um, I don't have any money because Czech currency is very, very, it doesn't do well against the dollar. So I basically like maybe 4 grand to my name,
Wow.
which is a lot in Czech. But yeah, not much money. No job, no contacts because I've been out of the country for years. I'm like can't get out of bed depressed
Oh
because of
my
my
gosh.
relationship. And yeah, just really like I have an English degree, which nobody really like wants that. And no one's hiring because it's COVID. Like it could have been worse. And so like I was driving myself crazy. So I'm like, I got to get a job. So I'm like looking online to try to get some, I want to distract myself from like the inner turmoil. And I'm like applying to like garbage collector jobs. Like, I don't care. I will do anything to get out of my own head and get out of my bed. And which
Yeah.
I'm living in my parents' house at that point with all my stuff in boxes in my mom's basement because
Oh my God. Oh
I
my
don't have
God.
anywhere to go.
Oh my
I don't
God.
have a car. Like, I had like rock bottom. And my brothers are playing pickleball, obviously. And they're pretty good, and they're like, you gotta like come on down, like come out with us to a tournament or two and like get out of the house. And my friend, who I didn't really know very well at that point, but Ryan Sherry was like, I'm actually holding a tournament with the tour and with your brothers in Florida, in Fort Myers. Come on down and like I don't know, we'll have you do some sideline interviews, or like you could just talk to people. We'll film it. And I'm like, okay. So I go down there,
Ryan
I get off.
Sherry being a part
Yeah.
of your intro story is just all
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Oh man, I just like the twists and turns of life continue to amaze me.
Yes.
But so I get down there and I do these random interviews. They're incredibly awkward. I'm terrible on camera. It's like torture to go through every single question that I've like prepared for like these random pros, which were like I didn't even know them at that point, but it was like Matt Wright and Lucy, and I think Callie might have been there, Smith, and obviously Ben and Colin, Kylie Yates, like all these people. So uh, I met Connor Pardo, the owner of the tour, at that point, then there, and he had just held one tournament ever. The first ever PPA event had happened a few months earlier. This was June. And he's like, well, we don't have much money, but like if you want to like come on tour and do some interviews, we'll throw you like $1,000 a month and pay for your expenses and like you can
You're
hit
like
the road with
sold.
us. And you're like, yes, yes, I don't care what it is I'm gonna do for you. I'm doing it and I'm coming. And he's like, I don't know, you can help with some like sponsorship stuff, maybe make us some sales. I don't run our social media. So like it was just like he's like, this girl will do anything for very little money. She's, you know, pretty cool and her brothers are great. So, and they're going to be a big part of my tour. So I think in his mind, it probably made a lot of sense just like because he kind of could trust me because of the brother connection. So I went on tour and I concurrently took a media training course, like a 100-hour media training course online because it was the only place you could do anything. And learn sort of like some of the tools and tricks of the trade, you know, what to wear, how to stand, inflections of the voice, how to hold the microphone, ways to make your, you know, interviewee feel comfortable, what kinds of questions to ask, how to frame them, and like A to Z, like basic, but like helpful. And that was sort of my my kickoff point.
Wow. That was actually a question that I was going to ask you was you didn't have any formal experience, but your interviews have been so fantastic. And how did you learn that? But you took it upon yourself. And I also think you should give yourself some credit because Connor wouldn't have hired just anybody. I mean, yes, he was looking for people and it was just starting, but you're freaking amazing and you're smart and you're sociable and people love you. So that was obviously what he saw in you from the beginning. So I think it's awesome that you've been with the tour from literally basically day one.
Thank you. Yeah, I got lucky, I think, but I appreciate you saying that. I think the third employee. Yeah. So it's been a wild ride. If you count Connor, I guess it's four, but
Yeah.
4 people.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I will say that like nothing replaces practice. So like I was terrible at interviewing people for the first probably 2 years, I will say. Like, and you just slowly gain comfort and you get enough reps at anything.
Yes.
And you can't help but get better. It's practice that creates progress, and progress creates perfection at some point, which I still have not even come close to reaching. But at this point in my career, I at least get excited to go out there and talk to people, whereas the first 2 years I would literally wake up and cry every single morning before I went out there to do this because I hated being in front of the camera and talking to people so much. I know that probably sounds crazy, but I would literally wake up and be like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this anymore. But I took it as a challenge because I was like, when you do uncomfortable things, growth happens and your life changes. And so when I realized how much I didn't want to do it and how bad I was at it, I was like, no, Hannah, like you're going to dig in and you're not going to quit this job until you are good at it and you are proud of where you've come. And then you can walk away from this job and do something else. And so that's kind of where I am now, where I feel like, okay, I've mastered it to a good enough degree where I feel like I'll allow myself to move on. But I will tell you, it was hell. It's because like if you do your job right in that position, nobody notices you. That's the role for you to be invisible and put your interviewed person on a platform to where they can showcase who they are and what they're doing. That is your goal. And if you get noticed, it's because you screwed something up, because you made a fool of yourself. You stood weirdly. You asked a weird question. You giggled
stuttered,
like a maniac,
stuttered,
forgot what you were doing and just froze.
Yes.
And then they're like, oh, that girl is not good at her job. And so it's like the most thankless task ever.
Yes.
Not to mention the makeup and, the clothes and the travel and the heels. I used to wear heels. I don't anymore, but thank God. But yeah, anyways, that's the story.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail. It is thankless. You are trying to shine a light on whoever you're interviewing or talking to, and there is a lot of pressure. The cameras are on you. You're holding the mic. There's a ton of people watching you, even in the venue. And yeah, I've done a little bit of it, and I think remembering your lines or remembering what you're going to say when it's like longer interviews, that can be more difficult, and like making sure you don't stutter. I watch so intently every other sports broadcasters. Obviously, Erin Andrews is like amazing at it. I just listened to her podcast. She did, do you know Kylie Kelsey? She did her Not Gonna Lie podcast with her. Anyway, really good one to watch. She talked about, how she prepares. And she also talked about like woman stuff, like going through surrogacy at 45. Like it was a really good interview. But anyway, it takes practice, and it takes learning, and it takes studying other people, how they do it and what works and what doesn't work, whether leave your questions, an open-ended question versus it's like how you ask, like you said, the inflection of your voice. There's so much complication to it. But also on top of that, it's like, I don't like wearing a lot of makeup and like doing my hair all the time. Like that adds an extra thing. Like, you have to think about what you're wearing. It's like, you can't just show up.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, you mentioned Erin Andrews. She was my inspo. So I used to watch hours and hours of her interviewing to like try to copy her style of interviewing. I think she's fantastic. But the other portion of it was that because we were such a small team, that I would literally be setting up for the tournament and like taping courts and putting up banners and stuff before. And then the morning of the tournament, we would be running around putting out fires, like making sure the play had started and that, like things had blown away. We couldn't find the balls. Like it was just chaos, like mayhem. And so I'm trying to like make questions and watch the matches and be like good at my job. But at the same time, there's all this shit going on, and like sponsors are mad because this is missing, and the club Wi-Fi sucks, and like it's just so the Wild West.
You get it, and I'm glad you can like understand it to tell other people, because it's hard to have conversations with people that don't get how much actually goes into running a tour. But anyway, so you've been with the tour for over 5 years, basically. You've held many positions, like you mentioned. You were like social media manager, PR. You were a sports reporter, and now you're the senior chief editor of Pickleball.com. What I really want to focus on for this is you were part of this startup. Essentially, PPA is, however you want to look at it, a startup. Is there a lesson or two that comes to mind from your experiences, like working at a startup in an emerging sport?
Oh gosh, so many. This job has given me so many lessons. Number one is I had to let go of some of my perfectionism. When you're in a startup, sometimes good enough is, good enough, send it. Like I am so OCD about doing things perfectly. And I had a 4.0 in college, and there was never a question that it was always going to be like every question right or close to it. Like every point mattered. It was just insane. And my whole family's like that. And so trying, it's just like this, you can't manage all the factors when you're running a startup, and everything's just kind of like off the rails all the time in the beginning. And you just kind of have to be like, okay, it's chaos, embrace it. Like get done whatever you can to the best of your ability. And, I like the 80-20 principle. I think it really applies to a startup. And then once you've sort of gotten off the ground, you then can hone in on making sure things are really, really good on their own, and spending that extra 20% or 80% of effort on that last 20% to really make it perfect. But that's just not possible in the beginning. So that was one big one. The other one is definitely in pickleball specifically, just embracing the culture of it, like the friendliness and getting to know everyone, like walking around the venue and just talking to people, getting to know the pros, being like open to any connections, because you could talk to somebody and they end up being your next sponsor, or this player ends up becoming really good. And you're like, well, it's nice that we, chatted beforehand, and now you're in the winner's circle and I now have, material on you. So just like never closing yourself off to new people. It's another good one. And oh gosh, I could probably go on and on. Being a jack of all trades, not being like afraid to just try new things. Because I didn't know how to do any of the things that I was hired to do. And now I do know how to do pretty much all of the things that I was hired to do. And I didn't go to school for any of those things. And it's all about how hard you work, what you put your mind to, and how much you're willing to sacrifice in the pursuit of becoming good at something.
Yeah, a lot of that's why I love you as a person. I think you are just you are so awesome and intellectual and curious, and you're just such a great I would hire you for any business because you have that mindset is you want to learn, you want to do things correctly, you want to progress yourself, you're interested in other people, you want to make yourself better. Like there are so many traits there that just embody such a good person to work with. So like I said before with Connor, I think he made a great decision, and it's clear that he made a great decision. But yeah, I'm so impressed with how you've been able to learn so many different skills. And now you're the senior chief editor at pickleball.com and ppatour.com. So what does that entail? What does a senior chief editor do for those websites?
Oh gosh. Well, role has definitely evolved a lot, and we hired people who were better at some of the jobs that I had. So Connor asked me, what can I take off your plate? What do you dislike the most, or do you think you're not good at? And I was like, please hire somebody to manage social media because I hate it so much. So that was one of the first things that got taken off my plate. And then I gave up PR and comms, which I did for the first 2.5 years, a while back, and pro player relations. I used to run all the pro player logistics and all of that stuff. And now we have a full legal team, and we have Dylan and Liv who now run all the pro player stuff. And so those sort of things got bumped off, which was amazing. And then I took on other things. And now I ended up in something that's actually, funnily enough, very similar to what I actually was trained in and what I actually love, which is writing. So what pickleball.com does is writes articles and news and SEO content and stat-based stuff on the sport of pickleball. We call ourselves the ESPN of pickleball. And it's still only about a year old, the website, but we've put a lot of love into it, into making it grow and getting a resource out there that people can trust, that's authentic, that is news, focused, timely, covers things breaking, and obviously all the social media platforms go along with that. We're not just a website, but you can find us on all the social platforms. So I have a whole team who writes for us. They're fantastic. Will, Victoria, Matt, and then Jasmine runs our socials. And Jim Kloss writes for us.
He's
love fantastic.
It.
Yeah,
he is.
He's spicy.
He gets people to click. I mean, and he's thoughtful. Like when I had hired him to basically like help me with the draft for the Night Owls, everyone was giving me so much shit, and I was like, there is not one person in this world that almost watches much pro pickleball that he does. Like me and him kind of nerd out sometimes, but he has good takes, and at least he has an opinion that he's like okay with sharing. A lot of people are scared to put themselves out there, but yeah, I looked like Will Doughton writes a lot, Victoria, I think you said, and then Jim. Yep.
And Matt Kuzanowski is our like editor, so he like curates the homepage and also writes a bit. But Jim is amazing because I think it is underestimated. The skill of fostering discussion is one that actually is really hard for people because you're putting your own self on the line and out in the public domain for people to censor or love if you want. And so I really admire Jim's like don't give a energy because he really gives his opinion, and he's very smart, very smart. A lot of his insights I'm like spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, for many people that don't know, like he was a lawyer by trade and actually retired not somewhat early, but anyway, he saw what his brother was working, and he was like, I can continue to work and progress and make more money and do all of these things, but I want to live my life. So he lives out in Arizona. He has 2 courts at his home court, which is so much fun. I went out there and played with him. And he has pros come and stay with him and his family. His wife's out there, his daughter. Like he loves pickleball. So anyway, I like that you have him right for you.
Yep.
But
he's great. And then behind the scenes, which a lot of people don't know, Jim Ramsey is also fantastic. The 2 Jims, I call them. Jim Ramsey does all our stat-based stuff. So if you see a stat in most of our written content on PPA Tour or pickleball.com, it's usually Jim.
Wow. Okay, so basically you're managing the writers, you're managing the content that gets put out on both the websites and also the socials?
The social I leave to their discretion. So social is quite a beast. I don't pretend to know it very well. I let them run it how they want to run it. And pickleball.com specifically is a news outlet. And so sometimes what gets posted is not necessarily, let's say, all that complimentary. Because definitely putting out stuff that is more dramatic gets clicks and people excited and starts discussions. And if you say something inflammatory, or even if you get something wrong, it actually increases your reach and your engagement, which crazy times we're living in, but that's how it works. And so I only occasionally step in to the social sphere to say like, oh, let's dial this back. I really don't think this is how we want to take a stand. Or this is a really cool thing. It's a little bit edgy, but like let's post it. Let's see how it does. But for the most part, I stay in the background on the social side.
Got it. Yeah, it definitely seemed, I was pretty surprised because for people that don't know, like pickleball.com is technically a part of PPA, UPA, whatever you want to call it, but they have done some things that are not like just pro the tour or pro a specific player, which to me seems like it's trying to be more of like an unbiased news source.
Yeah, that's our goal. So we want to treat all the players the same, treat the tours the same, cover international events, cover rival situations. Like our goal has been to really be a standalone media outlet. And it's actually, although there is affiliation through the ownership connection, PPA and MLP sit under the UPA umbrella, and pickleball.com actually sits under Pickleball Incorporated, which is a holding company for Pickleball Central, pickleball tournaments, pickleball brackets. And so it actually is separated legally from the tours themselves and the players themselves. So we like to sort of use that as a data point to say, like, we don't have to always be positive. And we want to put what we see as the truth out there, or at least present the facts and allow the public to have an opinion on it. And I think that unbiased media is definitely hard to come by these days, and I don't even know how possible it is to be completely unbiased anymore, with the skews and political beliefs and whatever. But we do our best. That is the goal.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that there was sort of a different holding company. I knew that, obviously pickleball tournaments and pickleball. Do you know anything about that? The pickleball brackets and pickleball tournaments? Is it all warping under tournaments now? Do you know?
Yeah, we've rolled pickleball brackets up under pickleball tournaments now, just to send people to just one place and just sort of remove some complication.
Okay. I didn't even look at it because I wanted to see actually what the APP tour results were from this past weekend, and I didn't go. So would I not even have to go to pickleball brackets now?
You can just go to pickleball tournaments, or if you go to pickleball brackets, it'll redirect you. So
okay.
Either way.
Very interesting. Okay. Obviously, you come from a pro pickleball family that is extremely well known, and it feels even weird to say that it might be the most famous pickleball family in the world. I mean, you have some competitors with the Johnson family, you have some competitors with the Waters. But over the years, has that come with more pressure on you and your family?
Definitely. Yeah, it teaches you, going back to lessons, don't say dumb shit, don't do dumb shit, but you will do both of those things. So, you take your lumps and you figure out what not to do in the future. And I will say I have like a very strong, I think all three of us do. We have very strong protective instincts for each other. And the one thing is you can't break family, and we all stand together. So like if something is going wrong or some gossip is going around or there's some issue that happens or, some situation where we can be put in like a negative light, the family bands together, and Ben and Colin and I sort of take care of each other, check on each other, help with the situation. And for the most part, it's been pretty smooth sailing. But when you're in the public eye, and I'm speaking more for Ben and Colin because I really am not the way that they are, things are going to happen and people are going to talk, and it's hard for me to stay quiet sometimes because I obviously know the full story. I know the background story. And so when, I don't know, Ben takes a massive wind up and aims for Kwang Duong, like, everyone's like, oh my God, what was that? Can you explain what happened? And I'm like, oh yeah, and I think Colin did a really great explanation of the situation on the Dink podcast recently, of that whole incident. But that's an instance of the sibling coming and sort of backing up the other sibling and taking care of them. So yeah, I mean, there definitely have been some like tough moments, but also just like weird moments where like people could be really, really, really creepy or like very inappropriate, which is probably the worst part. Like I can take all the trolling. I'm fine. Like, I'll just walk away from it. I'll delete the app or whatever. Just just not worry about that because that's just people out there's opinions. But when
Yeah.
like creepy stuff happens or like very inappropriate comments are made or you feel like you're in danger, then that's where it starts getting like really upsetting, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah. I can see that happening. I mean, it is hard because your brothers are definitely in the spotlight a lot. I mean, their partnership, they were the most winning team, I think, in history, in pickleball history. Do they have
Mm-hmm.
the most wins out of anyone?
Yeah.
Um, and they recently just broke up, and there's all eyes on them. You're kind of in the spotlight. You've been taking a step back, I think, on being like a reporter more. Like you said, you're focusing on the website.
Finally. I love it.
No more travel. You don't have to travel as much. You have a
Oh,
life. You get to go to Maui for your
I
friend's
get to
wedding.
actually take vacations. I get to not live out of a suitcase. I can have a boyfriend again. I can have friends. I can have a dog. I got a dog because I'm finally like not traveling as much. And now I have a pup and I'm so psyched.
I am
And
obsessed
I
with
mean,
Hazel.
oh, she's such a doll. Love of my life. She's
Perfect.
sleeping behind me right now. But I remember I woke up on the road in a hotel room like numerous times and I'd be like, I don't know where I am, like in the world. And I would have to pull out my phone and look at maps. And I'm sure players have had this experience. And I'm like, where am I? Zoom out. Oh, Ohio. I'm in Cincinnati. We're so bad. And I'm like, this is a sign. I need to be done with this.
Yes.
I really want to be home. I'm such a homebody. That's how I was raised. And so I cannot tell you how happy I am to slowly be segueing out of reporting and like overall travel.
Yeah. I was gonna say like when I played soccer in college and I felt the same way. Every weekend you'd be traveling to a different state. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of loved that. Like at that age, it was fun. You were going different places, and you never had to know your own itinerary. You just show up, and
Yeah.
you'd be put on a bus, and you'd be put on a plane. You'd be in a hotel. You had no clue. But at this point in your life, it's kind of getting, you've been doing it for so many years now, and it's kind of nice. I've done the same thing. I've kind of stepped back from all the traveling that I did the past 2 years, and I've been home, and I kind of like love the routine. I love
Mm-hmm.
waking up and taking my dog for a walk and
Yeah.
making breakfast and doing like normal life things that you don't get to experience as a pro or somebody that's like living the tour life.
Absolutely.
Um, okay, so you're so tied into the pro world. We know this. Are there any pros outside of your brothers that you think are doing a really good job of sort of leading the sport?
Mm. Um, yes, I think that has definitely shifted. It used to be that pros really didn't try to lead anything at all. They were just out there sort of playing for a couple $100. So it's really changed so much. Um, I mean, Anna Lee is fantastic at her brand. I think that's an obvious one. And her winningness, her personality, she's so well spoken.
Yeah.
Just really a classy young lady, soon to be 18, actually, in I think 6 days. So a classy
Whoa.
young woman, soon to be. And she's always been fantastic to work with, to talk to just have her on tour. And I think just what she's done to sort of drive the sport into the spotlight in terms of, big publications like Forbes write about her. And now people who've never even heard of pickleball are reading about Anna Lee Waters. So she's done so much to skyrocket the sport. I think the playful energy of Anna Bright is really needed, especially on the female side of pickleball. Since we're doing a female line
Agree.
of episodes here, I'm going to call out the women.
Yes.
Women, I think, and Leah Jansen is also part of this group, but women in general tend not to give too many opinions, and we try to be agreeable all the time, and I think that ends up hurting us because we get left behind when it comes to like big brand deals or like people caring about us if we're a star because they don't really feel like they know us because we're not giving our opinion most of the time. But Anna Bright and Leah Jansen for sure are not afraid to give their opinion and sort of put their quirkiness out there on display for the public to see. And I think that's really helpful because you feel like you know them more than, for example, you might feel like an Etta Wright, who is incredibly sweet and so quiet. And like it's very difficult to know what Etta Wright is like if you're somebody out in the public sphere watching pickleball. You're like, she's an incredible player. She's so sweet in interviews. And that's it. you know. So
Yes.
I think that the more that athletes sort of step outside their comfort zone, especially women, and talk about their life and showcase their personality, because I've gone to dinner many times with Etta. She's fantastic. She's a daughter who's so cute, and
Yes.
she's amazing. So it's like if people were able to actually get up close and personal with some of these pros, I think it would help so much.
I agree. I think we're seeing that a lot on the tennis side. Arena Sabalenka,
Mm-hmm.
her personality is incredible. Her social media showcases it. It's amazing. Another woman is Danielle Collins.
Danielle
She
Collins, I
just
was
did
going
the
to say.
kiss her butt, and I'm like, yes, honey.
I love
I'm like, go girl. Like, give us some spice. Give us some sass. It's
it.
usually the guys that are doing that. So
Yep.
I love Anna Bright has always been a favorite of mine because I actually did an Instagram live interview when I wanted to start a podcast like 3 years ago when I created Pickleball Chick. It was supposed to be for a podcast, and then I just started doing these pro interviews online. And she was one of the first, and I'm like, she's so smart. She's so funny. She's so quirky. And she's a competitor. Like, she has all the things that I love inside of a human. And like, she's been getting a lot more, I think a lot of brand deals. People are interested in her more. She's winning a lot.
Yeah.
She took when Annalie chose to go with Catherine, or I don't know how that went, but like she took a partner and now has blossomed with her. They wear matching outfits. They like have the girlies. Like they've created this identity of their own, which is really awesome.
Yes. 100%.
Is there any goal that you want to accomplish this year or in the next 5 years?
I definitely, the pickleball.com website is my baby, and I want to get that traffic to a certain point. I want to get, ad revenue to a certain point. I want to see people going there as a leading resource to learn and catch up on pickleball. That's like a more, I guess, in my personal realm of the company. Definitely huge, huge things I want to do. For pickleball as a sport, I definitely want to see my brothers shine this year because they're not playing together, and it's I always root for them, and now it's going to be a very different situation rooting separately for them for the first time ever.
I texted real quick. I texted them right when it happened, and I was like, I sent a picture of Misha's interview with them, and I was like, you guys have been at the sport since I started. Like, you were the first people I watch. Everything I know about pickleball, a lot of it has been through watching them and talking to them and learning from them. And I was like, this is the funny part. I was like, jury's still out on who I'm going to cheer for when you guys play each other. And I wonder what you were going to say to that. Well, who are you going to cheer for when they play each other?
Oh, I can't choose. Oh my gosh. I mean, Ben has enough titles. Maybe, throw Colin a few titles. So, you never know. Sometimes individual tournaments, you're like, oh, this would be nice to see for this brother or whatever. And, like obviously when Ben was going for his 100th title, I was like, nobody better get in the way because I really want this for him, So it varies. But I think it will be fun, and I think it will be a fantastic challenge for the both of them to grow into different types of players. They both have growth to do. Everyone says, oh, Ben's the best player in the world, but there are things that he can change and grow and mature into with somebody else as his partner, which I'm sure that he will. And same thing for Colin. So I think that is a huge, exciting thing for me to sort of look forward to and root for this year as well.
What about you on a personal level? Outside of work and pickleball.
Oh, man. I don't share a lot of my personal life usually, but since we're friends, I'll make an exception. My plan this year is, so I am trying to buy a house, and I would be a first-time homeowner, and it will be a very small house and a limited budget, and I'm actually going to buy it with my little sister Georgia. So we're gonna pool our resources and get something small here in Austin. So I'm very excited for that. I got my pup last year, Hazel. In fact, let me bring her over here because she's the love of my life.
We need her.
And I want to learn how to be a good dog mom, Come here, baby. So that's another goal this year. She goes everywhere with me.
Hi, Hazel.
Say hi, Hazel. Guest appearance.
Sweetie.
She's so sleepy.
She comes It was in Dallas that we went to dinner with me, you, and Sash, and we brought
Mhm.
like Hazel just comes everywhere because she's just the sweetest
Yes,
baby.
you like my baby.
I love her.
And then what else? So I don't know if a lot of people know this, but my ex and I are opening a pickleball club here in Austin as
Yes.
well, which is 16 pickleball courts and two padel courts, bar, restaurant, nature park and reserve that we're so excited about. It's called Rush Social. And we want it to be like an all day work and play hangout spot for everyone in Austin. And that broke ground earlier this year, I guess like right at the start of January, and we hope to be able to open by the end of this year. So that is
Wow.
something that I'm like really excited about working on and getting off the ground. It's like our little baby pet project.
I love that. Yeah, Rush seems amazing. I kind of love how there's so much nature around it. Like there's so much acreage and
Mm-hmm.
beautiful and like you're not getting rid of that. Yes, you're getting rid of what you need to like form the structures, but it's still
Yeah,
going to be a beautiful, serene place to go and play pickleball, which I love.
exactly. Keep the peace of the nature. That's a big thing for us because we both grew up basically in the country. So
Hmm.
my ex and I. So
I
it'll be
love
great.
that. Okay, just a few more. Have you had any phenomenal mentors in your life? Role
Ooh.
models or mentors?
Um, my parents absolutely are the number one people. They are pretty much the best people I know. They are
Wow.
loving, caring, thoughtful, sweet, smart. Like I couldn't ask for more or a better upbringing than my parents gave me. Um, and just giving us like the independence, but also the skill set to fly in our lives. And I think everything that basically all of the kids have accomplished is almost directly due to our parents
Mm.
and the way that they brought us up. So they're first on the list by far. Um, see role models. I mean, Connor Pardo for sure is up there on the list for me. I've learned so much from him, and he's actually the same age as me, but just he had already run multiple companies through his dad's ownership group, like that he had a bunch of companies. So he knew a lot more about building a business and running a business, and I knew nothing. So I learned so much from him, and really look up to him as like a very intelligent business mind. Um, let's see here. I don't know that I look up to very many people beyond like my family members. I would say the people I go to for wisdom or advice or help is always either a brother or a sister or a parent. We're very, very family first, and
Mm.
um, we believe that's the most important, I think, pretty much thing in this life besides your partner and your own family someday.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I find it interesting. I haven't asked it in every interview, but I've tried recently to start asking people about mentors because I feel like
Mhm.
for my life and when I look at successful people, I do think that they a lot of times have mentors, and I feel like for a lot of women, it is males. Now, you mentioned Connor, which makes sense. Like you've been in this company for 5 years, but I find like I personally don't have any female mentor aside like my mom. Like I'm very close to my mom and dad,
Yeah.
but I find it interesting that a lot of times we don't have those women to look up to, and maybe it's because we're kind of this first generation that's getting to be more successful and getting to be in the C suites
Yeah.
more often and whatever. But I think we still have to continue to push down some of those barriers. Like there's still not anybody in the C suite at UPA and at APP and at all of these the biggest organizations in pickleball still don't have it. So I'm trying
You're
to
right.
put my hammer down. No one
I
cares.
know, women. Let's.
Women that are qualified and should get the opportunity, not just like anybody. I don't want to.
Totally.
There's definitely not diversity just for diversity's
100%.
sake.
Yeah, earn it and don't be afraid to showcase it and be confident about the skill set you bring. Like, I hope that little girls someday can look up to you and say, like, oh, I want to be like Caitlin. She's a badass,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
I want to, own things and do things on my own and not feel like I have to depend on anyone because,
yes,
financial freedom. Oh my gosh, financial freedom as a woman gives you wings
yes.
because you can do whatever you want to do and you don't have to make concessions or change your life for anyone because you're good on your own 2 feet and you're confident in who you are, which has definitely been a significant shift, I think, in in females over the last, let's say, 50 years, 20 to 50 years.
100%. We talked about it at our dinner with Mish. It used to be that women would stay with men just because they were scared to leave them because they didn't have the finances to be on their own. And now we can have our own careers, we can have our own jobs. And yes, we can come into a mutually beneficial, beautiful relationship that enhances us in many different ways, but we can always have our independence financially if we also have an education that helps us have that. So I think
absolutely. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, last two. What are some of the things that you implement into your daily routines? I feel like you have a pretty good work-life balance. Like you are so smart. I just love, like, you have a lot of fun. You're funny. You're like, you're entertaining. Like, what do you do? Do you go to Pilates? Do you play pickleball? Like, what are some of the things? Give us an inside scoop.
Oh gosh. I like everything and I try to do everything, which sometimes can be a bad thing because I'm like, oh my God, I committed to way too many things this week. It's terrible. But now that I'm home in Austin more, oh my gosh, I love my journal and coffee in the morning. So I like get up half an hour early before like I need to actually do anything. And I do my doggy walk with Hazel and I drink my coffee and I journal a bit just to sort of like get set for the day. And then I obviously work a normal 9 to 5, have to do that. So check that one off. But, don't tell anyone I take little holidays to play pickleball. But no, in all fairness, I do play a ton of pickleball. I probably play 3-ish times a week. I also really enjoy every racket sport. So I'll play I haven't played squash in a while, but I really like squash, padel, tennis. I've been getting back into tennis. I've been playing tennis here and there with my sister Georgia. Ping pong I'll even play. Not very good, but I like it. We're trying to pick up some beach volleyball this summer once it actually warms back up. I paint and I sketch very poorly, but sometimes when I need like a moment of like tranquility and solitude, I'll come home, I'll pour my glass of wine and I'll paint or draw something.
I think I saw you doing that at your house with your siblings.
I do it with my siblings a lot. They really like painting specifically, so we'll like all the girls will get together, we'll have our little whatever mixed drink and paint away, which is great. I think it's the homeschooling just popping out again.
Yes.
I read and write a lot. I am always working on, or almost always, a piece of nonfiction and fiction, which I work through slowly and I switch off depending on whether I want like pleasure escapism or I'm like, okay, I have a little more brain power right now or energy right now. I can learn something now. Let's see. I see friends a lot. I'm very, very social. And so I'm pretty much always trying to plan something in the evening, whether it's dinner with friends or pickleball or doggy walks, or I like to walk around the lake with like a smoothie or, anything that's like the downtown is great. So you can just wander. I'm not much of a shopper. I know most girls are, but I can't remember the last time I actually walked into a store. That's not something that I really enjoy.
Online.
I'm an all online fashion girly and I do love fashion, but I just don't have the time or the inclination, I think, to like go out anymore for it.
I'm with you. I just want to bring up when we first met, I don't know if you're going to remember this, we met at Dreamland playing minor league pickleball against each other. And I had no clue who you were. And at this point, like, I think I knew who you, like, I definitely knew who you were from watching you on TV. But like when I was playing, I didn't make the connection at first. And I was like, holy shit, this girl hits the shit out of the ball. Like, you came up and you were like slapping the, like, so hard. And you are such a competitor too. Like, I remember like you missed a ball and like you like chucked your paddle and I was like, damn, she really cares. Like, I love this about. So anyway, and then like, I think we played at an MLP. We played in this like, I don't know. It was like a content creator
exhibition
exhibition
thing.
And then you did you you have the freaking backhand flick. You have the so low on the net. I'm like, how the hell do all the Johns people have the flick like at your toes? So anyway, all of this to say, my point is that Hannah is an amazing pickleball player. And I'm sure you're good at the rest of the racket sports that you're playing, but I love that you're a competitor too. Like most people don't know that side of you, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, to quickly call out, you also dove during that exhibition match epically and got the ball back. Like I've never seen that. It was like freaking full Elise Jones, and it was so good. It's like this girl will lay it all out, and I admire that so much. I love a woman who could just like go ham in a sports environment and like is actually really good. And I'm fiercely competitive. I have a little bit of anger management issues. Unlike my brothers who always hold it together, I'm an absolute psychopath. So I had to actually quit playing tournaments for a while because I put myself in timeout because I kept throwing paddles, cursing, screaming. I broke a paddle. And I was like, you don't get to play tournaments anymore until you learn how to behave. And so I took myself out of competition. And now I'm slowly getting back into it, and I haven't done anything too horrific, although I did break down in tears in I think it was Houston APP last year or 2 years ago. I don't know. Anyways, we don't talk about it, but I care a lot.
Yes, you do. And it's funny, you mentioned my dive, and I always say that it's like the one event that haunts me with Ben because he's like, Keelan, you are the worst pickleball player I've ever seen. He goes, there's no reason in the world that you would need to dive on a pickleball court. You're in the wrong place, you're wrong shot. Like he always calls that exact, because he was watching because you were there, I guess, and he was like, you're terrible. So anyway,
he's such a gentleman. What a guy.
So like, charming, like I said before.
Yeah. I don't know how he like. Yeah, I totally get why people just adore him. Taught him everything he knows.
Unbelievable. Okay. Last but not least, and I could be wrong about this, but I think I'm right. I think you're single and ready to mingle.
No, wait a minute. I did not agree to this question. No, actually didn't agree to any of them, but here we are.
What are the qualities you're looking for in a potential partner?
Oh gosh. I've been single since I think it's like August, September or something like that. But my ex and I parted amicably. We're still running a business together, Rush Social. I can't say enough good things about him. He's fantastic. Still love him very, very much. But in the end, we decided, partially because of the business, that it was just like, let's split ways. And that way we can sort of manage this more effectively rather than 24/7 couple fighting about the company all the time. It's a lot. But yeah. So I have very cautiously been re-entering the dating scene. I used to have so many requirements for what I wanted my man to look like or be like.
Yeah.
The older I get, I know this is opposite to what most people say, the less I have, the less sort of like strict I am about what I'm looking for, because I found out that the more strict I am, the more inappropriate of a partner I choose, because I don't think anyone is really aware of what they really, really need. We think we want this thing, we think we need this thing, and then we get it and we're like, wait a minute, this doesn't like work at all. And so I've sort of learned to let go of, oh, I need this height, I need this, I don't know, salary, I need this, he needs to be super charming and social, and oh, I could never date a partner without humor, oh, really gotta have blue eyes. And I'm like, honestly, all of those things don't matter at all.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm actually set on is like, I want to be with somebody who makes me feel good, who like makes me like myself more and feel inspired to do better things and good things in my life. It's all about how the person makes you feel. And sometimes as we pursue looks or success in our partner, we forget that the connection between you and him is actually the only thing that matters. And just the compatibility will fall into place following that feeling of connection and liking yourself when you're with that person. So I can honestly say, besides that, I really don't have stipulations. I like all looks. I like all backgrounds. I like all walks of life. And so we'll see what that presents me with. So we're going to try this philosophy until the next partner shows up. And I'll let you know how it goes.
Please keep me in the loop. I mean, Mish, when we started that text group, Mish was like, oh, I went on a couple dates and now she's freaking engaged, about to freaking marry her man.
Our girl.
So, I know. Go Mish.
She did it. We were the original like cheerleading squad for Mish. It was a 3-way text thread between us,
yes.
like following her journey. And now she's done it. She's found the guy. So we're so excited for you, Mish.
Yes, her second golden retriever, as she says. But no, that's I kind of like that thought process. I feel that you're in a great place in your life where you feel, you feel stable. You know who you are. You know what you know what you love.
Yeah.
And so you're now looking for somebody to sort of complement you, and
exactly.
I think that's really beautiful. So. All that to say, if you're listening out there, shoot your shot with Hannah Johns.
Oh my gosh, that's so awkward. Guys, please don't.
You will have to get through the other 6 siblings.
True. Ben and Colin are the front line of defense.
Yes. Yes. I could not. I don't know who would be more hard to get through there. But anyway, Colin.
Probably. Yeah, I think so. Older brother. Although Ben has actually told me to break up with people before, I'll be honest.
Wow.
He's called me and been like, this is an intervention. This one's got to go. No joke.
Oh my God.
And then Colin will do, who's this guy? Where's he come from? What's his deal? How many dates you been on? He'll do like the high inquisition. Ben will just silently assess and then be like, no.
Oh my God, they kill me. I love them. All right, well, sounds awesome. Sounds like you have a lot on your plate heading into 2025 now that we're here. But all good things. I mean, pickleball.com, dog mom, single, ready to take on the world with more free time because you're not going to be traveling to as many tournaments. So I think that's awesome. Last but not least, we have my favorite part of the podcast. You have to say, talk pickle to me in the sexiest way possible.
Oh God. Oh, I knew it was going to be something like this. Okay, let me compose myself. Talk pickle to me.
Wait, was I talking over you? Do it again.
I don't know. Do you want me to do it again?
I think I was laughing and I couldn't hear you.
Okay, dude. Shush. Okay. Talk pickle to me.
Woo! Sexiest one yet. Yes. Okay, thank you so much for coming on here today, Hannah. It's always so fun to talk to you. I love you. And thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Talk Pickle to Me with Hannah Johns. Please make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Talk Pickle to Me, and come back for the next episode. New episodes drop every Wednesday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next week.